most of you must be feeling slightly dizzy, cold. Is anyone feeling hungry? Need to have some coffee? I'll just take 10 minutes, don't worry. Slides, please. So guys, we've kind of learned a lot of things on how do you start up, how do you build your business model canvas, what's your go-to-market strategy, how do you really get into the grooves. It's time to delve a little deeper into who your customer is. Because at the end of the day, if you're not able to find the right customer, no matter how good your business plan is, no matter how good your financial plan is, you'll not sell a single piece. I'll be talking more of some cases, the case studies, the success stories, because at the end of the day, you do not know how your business is going to grow. Everything today is a red ocean or a purple ocean. Anybody in this room, any idea what a red ocean or a purple ocean is? Anyone? Yeah, please. Not Shantanu, the guy to the back.
Oh, I'm not sure if I've heard about the purple ocean, but I've had red and blue.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same. So
yeah.
Red ocean is where you have, maybe there's no room for movement, the market's cutthroat. Okay. And a blue ocean strategy would be, okay, something has no one's thought of, and I can just go in and grab all the fruits, something like that.
Right. So if I tell you there is either a red ocean or a purple ocean now, because you pick up any idea, any concept, anything, you'll find some products already playing in the market. So with purple ocean, what we mean is there are some players who are already playing in the market, they haven't really become that big, and you have an opportunity to leverage their weaknesses, why they couldn't become that big, and utilize that to build your business. So the smart move today is not to build everything from scratch, rather than you should look at similar businesses and learn from them. Because they must have tried everything, they must have tried out all business models, they must have tried out all customer plannings, all go-to-market strategies, everything. So you just need to be smart enough to know who your real competitors are or who your complements would be, and kind of get the essence of what their business model is. So how many of us use TikTok here? TikTok, the app? Indians at least would be knowing what TikTok is. It's nothing a shame. Can I see the hands? Okay, if you don't want to speak, that's fine. How many of you use Facebook today? Now that's nice. How many of you use Snapchat today? So why did Facebook become this big? What did the co-founder do that Facebook was able to move out of the college campus and move to each and every nook and corner of the world? The reason was he identified a problem. And he also knew exactly who the people would be, who the first people would be who would help him promote his ideas. Because he was able to solve their pain point. So the first thing that you essentially need to do when you want to identify a customer is to know what their pain point is. What is the unmet need that they crave for? And if you're able to understand what is it that they require precisely, it'll be very easy for you to pitch to them, make them your first customers, and at the same time, they'll act as your first brand ambassadors. Because when we are about to start up a business, we don't have money, we can't hire Shah Rukh Khan for that. So you must know that your customer would be your first brand ambassador. So the dilemma continues. Psychology, ROI, sports, technology, KPIs, Portuguese, lovers, economy, non-paying, yoga, entrepreneurs. What is all this? What do you understand by this cloud of completely unrelated, useless words? If you look at it now, what do you understand by this word cloud? Anyone? Hansraj, would you want to answer this? What do you understand with this word cloud? Why have I jotted down these deliberate words which are completely unrelated to each other? What are these? You should move a little more deep into this. We are talking about the problems here. These are the parameters that we look up to while we want to identify our customers. Which means, if you wish to sell a pen, what is it that to a particular customer, to a particular base, and you essentially know who they would be, what would be the attributes you would want to see in those customers? How would you locate those customers in this room? If I ask any one of you to sell this pen, what would be the attributes that you would associate with this pen and with the customers whom you would approach? So can you help me with understanding which word in this cloud would associate the kind of answers that you would get from the customers? Exactly. So understanding customer psychology is very important. Why I was mentioning TikTok is TikTok has been a revelation. So it's like a video sharing platform. You're able to create, for those who do not know what TikTok is, you create a video, you have a background music, you create a video keeping yourself as an actor or actress, and you upload it. The video becomes viral and it spreads to the whole world. If I speak of today, TikTok has more number of users than the combined population of US, Canada, and Mexico. And speaking of my country, India, TikTok had more downloads than Facebook in 2018. So what is it that the co-founders have been doing that has made them such a big success, and we are comparing them to platforms like Facebook? The real concept is TikTok has managed to grasp exactly what the customers of the intended demography want, which means between an age group of like 15 years to 30 years, what is your unmet need that you would want? A lot of you would be fascinated with movies, a lot of you would be fascinated with music, a lot of you would want to be a hero in your real life. And TikTok gives you those opportunities. It allows you to place yourself in place of a hero, act like him, and publish that video. The video goes viral like crazy and you become a superstar. So when you look at the word cloud here, you would find a lot of things which you would use to target your customers. For example, let's pick up Portuguese. Consider Portuguese to be a language, not the people living in Portugal, or Hindi, or like yoga or anything. So you can probably, if you have a product like a content platform, people love to read content in their native language. It is something that is that has become a mandatory thing for everybody. English has been a popular language, but with the changing trends, like for users in Japan, for users in Vietnam, for users in Saudi Arabia, for users in Turkey, for users in Portugal, users in any part, Spain, they all love to read content in their native language. So now, if you have a product which deals only in English, do you think your product is going to work well in these countries? It simply won't. Even if you spend so much of money in popularizing your product, doing inorganic marketing, getting influencers and pushing it all along, it won't matter, because people are not receptive to the language that your product has. Similarly, if I talk of Thai food, how many of you have enjoyed Thai food in the past 2-3 days? Nice. For those who are not of this region, for those who've come from like India, how many have enjoyed Thai food? See, that's, okay, so I'll put it in another way. How many have enjoyed the native food of Thailand? Okay. So, if, I'll give an example from of Swiggy. Swiggy is a huge food delivery service in India. If Swiggy someday starts to deliver food in Thailand, what should be the category of foods that it should deliver? It should propose to deliver on its platform. Should it be Indian or a Western or a continental food, or should it be a native Thai food? Why do you say that? Yes, please, you. Why do you say they should target Thai food? Yes.
They are running their business in Thailand,
Yeah.
so they have to choose their native food.
Before that, you should know if Thai people are receptive to other foods or not.
Yeah, that.
Because Thai food being, so that's another part of the story. Blindly following a single trend would not bring a
Yeah.
big spike
Yeah,
in
of
your
course.
customer acquisitions. So if you believe that Thai food would be sold very nice in Thailand and a continental food won't sell in Thailand, you must have the basis for that. So in my slides later on, I'll deal with what basic kind of customer segmentation can be done. So each one of yours, I guess in the previous session, almost all of you must have made some idea of what your customers would look like, right? Is there any group which has not done that exercise yet? That means all of them have done. Okay, so I'll begin with this group. Solar Soul. So who are your customers? Local rural people in Bangladesh. Can you go a little deeper? So local rural people makes like 70-80% of the total population. Is the entire population your customer? What is that group? Yes. Okay. Can you go a little more deeper? So the first was local people in Bangladesh, local rural people in Bangladesh. The second filter is those who don't have electricity. Is there another filter? Can you think of something more to attach with these users, these customers? Guys, everybody must pay attention here because each one of your chances are going to come. So consider this to be a model to answer it. Yes, please.
Who need electricity to lead their life, day-to-day life, but they haven't received the facility till now.
Which facility? Electricity?
Electricity, yes.
Any other filter that you can think of? No, that's not the point. So the total customer base is rural. You also know that you are going to target those rural customers who don't have electricity at home. Is there anything else that is specific to this customer base that you want to target? Any other feature that you can think of? See, all this I'm asking you because the answers would come from you. That's fine. So his customer base, Solar Soul, their customer base is the local rural people of Bangladesh who don't have the leverage of electricity, getting electrical facilities. Fine? That still is a bigger customer base, target customer base. You'll need a lot of money to target them. So let's move to some other group. Yes, this group. What is your customer base? Yes, you guys. Yes, please.
Our customer base is college students, university students who walk a lot because our product is shoes.
Okay. Anything else that you can add to it? Which part of the world?
India.
India, okay.
Asian.
Then which age group?
Age group 18 to 22, 24.
What interest? What interest should be with them? So I mean, if you're picking up a customer, what interest should he have?
The person should be, the students, they should be, more into technology and trying out new products and tech freak people.
Okay.
Specifically.
Makes sense. Anything else? What buying pattern should they have? What capacity should they have? How much money can they spend in buying your product? Do you have an idea?
Somewhere around 5,000, 4,000.
Okay. So these people have targeted a customer base which is typically an Indian customer base. India belongs to India. They are more into technology and sports and essentially tech enthusiasts and sports enthusiasts. Their purchasing power ranges up to $5,000, right?
Indian rupees.
So they have also attached another factor, which is the purchasing power. So remember, while you're making the business model and the financial projection, there are fields where you have to define what should be the unit price of your product, right? This team, are you people in with me in this discussion? Please pay attention here. If you miss this out, it will be very difficult for you to segment your customer. So this, I'll repeat it for you. This group has segmented its customer base in a way that they have been able to target the country, they have been able to target the interest, they have also been able to target the purchasing power. So they've added another feature. Is there any other group that can volunteer for another, just one more discussion? Okay, so exam minister, would you want to add?
Our target customers are students and small coaching centers in India which are preparing for competitive exams.
Anything else? Probably an age factor?
Yeah, from 18 to 24 or 26.
What is the purchasing power?
It varies for different exams. It can range from 1,000 to 20,000 bucks.
What platform are they receptive to?
Technology platform like mobile applications.
Is it mobile or web?
It's mobile.
Okay, that's fine. So coming to this slide, the entire customer segmentation can happen into 4 categories. That was essentially what I was talking about when I was mentioning these attributes. The first being geographic. So these people were able to target Indian customers. Those people were also able to target Indian customers. That is essentially geography. The entire fight with the current scenario happens into the fact how micro scale level can you go if you're targeting a locality. Can you target Visud Kasat as one of your locations if you're targeting Thailand as your primary location? So the entire fight is to reduce, minimize the search space and the target space. So we keep on adding filters to our customers, to our customer base, just to reduce the size from probably some crores to like, I mean, these people were mentioning local rural people from Bangladesh who don't have electricity. So if he had mentioned only rural local people, that would constitute like 5, 10, 15 crores. I don't know the population, but it would have been huge. And then when they said they don't have electricity, so that brings down the number to like a couple of lakhs, because, or probably 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs. So that is again a shorter window that you can target on. Now, if somebody else is targeting, is also mentioning the purchasing power or probably the interest, so that 500,000 also gets reduced to like 50,000 or 100,000. Again, if you add a filter of purchasing power, it reduces further to like 1,000 or 5,000. So now you know what is the customer base that you need to target when you are selling your first product. And therefore, you end up saving lots of KPIs. Do you see KPIs there? So all the answers to the entire dilemma lies in that word cloud. So I was talking about geographic. You target region, you target country, you target population, you also target climate. So if you're selling thermocords, it doesn't make any sense to sell it to a tropical country, because it would not have that cold weather. Rather than that, you should sell it to like an extreme climate country or probably a very cold country. So even climate plays a huge role. If you wish to sell really good quality umbrellas, so the countries where you have a lot of, if there is no rainfall, you can't sell an umbrella to a person from Sahara Desert. There's hardly any rainfall. You can obviously sell it, but it doesn't add a lot of value. Demographic, which constitutes your age. A lot of people have mentioned age as a factor of segmenting their customer. Gender, okay, so that's very important. How many of you in this room believe females are not that tech savvy, not as tech savvy as males? This is a concept, this is a misconception. But still, how many of you still believe that? Females don't use a lot of tech savvy products as compared to males. If nobody thinks that, it's really nice. But anyways, so when you're kind of also creating a customer base, you must also ensure what's the gender. What kind of people are going to use your product? For example, if there's a service, there's a gaming facility, which is like out of the city. If you are creating a gaming facility out of the city, and the time for the gaming facility is from like 3 o'clock to like 12 o'clock at night, it's highly possible that females would stay away from it. Because there are a lot of factors associated. They would see security, they would also see the comfort of travel, and a lot of things. But if you talk of males who can probably move out and come back any time of the day, they consider it to be comfortable, it will be rather appealing to them. Although this trend has been changing, females enjoy a lot of sporting and everything activities, but still this is a factor that comes into play a lot of times. Gender, occupation. So if you're planning to start a job consulting company of a particular niche, you should know what's the occupation of the people. Or probably if you're trying to create a hyper-local agriculture-based network, you can't target people staying in cities and working into corporates. Then comes the income, which essentially answers the purchasing power, I mean in an indirect manner. That not always does income indicate the purchasing power, because that again, purchasing power depends on a lot of factors. It also depends on the locations. So for example, and that happens indirectly, because for example, if I talk of Indian audience, their purchasing powers are comparatively less. It's not that they do not earn sufficient enough, but the kind of attributes into their nature prevents them from buying a lot of stuffs online, into the gaming and other app spaces. They can spend a lot into gamings, but they can't spend a lot. They can spend a lot into e-commerce. They can't spend a lot into gaming and probably other spaces, mobile spaces. Then comes behavioral, brand loyalty, usage rate, expectations, receptiveness. This is a little tricky, so maybe somebody can help me out. What do I mean with brand loyalty here? Somebody from this group. Any idea of what I mean with brand loyalty here? Yeah.
Someone who is a frequent user of your product.
Okay, can you give an example?
So let's say there's a trend of smartwatches, so people who like to be fit are buying smartwatches that are like new into the market to make sure like their activities are being tracked.
Makes sense. So a following question, somebody else could answer from the same group. Somebody else from the same group. So do you think if I love smartwatches, would I be able to affect a lot of sales if I only love smartwatches?
Yes.
How?
Because whenever we're wearing it, and then I'll be coming to you, you love these watches. In a way, you'll be marketing or recruiting for the very same brand.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Correct. So today is the era of networking. Networking works everywhere. And the network value is really high. So if I am able to target one particular audience and sell him a product, and he is not satisfied with it, the product dies with him. He doesn't come back to buy the product. He doesn't talk about it to anybody. Even if he talks negative. So rather than spending my kitty for somebody who's not very convinced with my product, or probably he doesn't need it that way, I should sell my smartwatch to somebody who's a lot tech savvy, who wants to try out new tech stuffs. Because if I'm able to convince that customer, he is going to spread a word in his network. And if he is able to spread a word in his network, the word of mouth grows really well. Because if your friend tells you or probably persuades you to buy a product, you would end up buying it. Because you have another trust factor associated. Because it's your friend who's probably recommending the product to you. So therefore, it's very important to target the network of a person. Therefore, brand loyalty is something very important. So if you know who's the customer who's very loyal to your brand who's coming back to buy products, who's constantly replying to you on social media, following you on social media, and engaging with you all the time, so you know he's the one who's going to be an indirect brand ambassador for you. Because he has a network everybody has a network of people on social media. So it's very easy to leverage that. Usage rate, okay. So if I buy a smartwatch, let's keep circulating our thoughts around smartwatch. If I buy a smartwatch, don't use it, don't download a lot of apps onto it, and don't make a lot of calls with it, I'll not know the capacity of the smartwatch. And if I, as a user, will not know the capacity of the smartwatch, the product might die out for me, because I'll not know the full potential. Therefore, what is important is, we must target customers who are engaging more and more with our product. All these things I'll be explaining in the next slide, how you're going to target the customers, but as of now, just consider this. Expectations, of course. If somebody expects your car to fly, even Tesla can't build a car for him, as of now. So if you're trying to identify a customer who's going to buy your car, you should know what is his expectations. You should not persuade him to buy a car when his expectations are much above the car's expectations. If he wants his car to fly and you're not able to build it, why would you spend your kitty for him? Because he'll ultimately not get convinced. Even if he buys it, the product dies with him. Receptiveness, yes. So yesterday we were having a rapid pitch. All of us were engaged in it. And all of you must have understood, a lot of your ideas might not have been selected. And why was that? Because the person whom you were pitching it to, he was not that receptive to your idea. It might be a situation that he might not have understood it, or he might not have appreciated it, or he might have considered it to be out of the box, completely out of the box, not possible. So in either of the cases, he's not receptive of your idea. He's not willing to buy the product. And if you keep convincing that person, you will end up missing out a lot of other people. You had to pitch to 9 people. And if you had picked up only one and kept on pitching it to him, you would have ended up not reaching everybody else. Therefore, you must know what's the receptiveness of the customer. Yes. Psychographic, yes. Lifestyle, interest, personality, values. I'll cover interest because that's, and personality, some interest. So some of you were mentioning you'll be targeting probably your team, that they have to be the audience that you wish to target for your product have to be tech savvy. They must also play sports, or they must engage a lot of sports activities. Why was that? Why was that?
So basically our product is about shoes, and the more the person walks, the more he or she can create electricity.
Okay.
So sports person usually, engage into more of walking and running, and marathon people who take part in marathon, they have a lot of running. So that was the main problem.
Fine, but to some extent it's fine. To a direct extent it's fine, but it also has a huge indirect value. Because if you are interested into something, you write a lot about it, you post a lot about it, you talk a lot about it, you boast a lot about it, you also buy a lot about it, and you also recommend a lot about it. Therefore, if the person is interested into, everybody, the last group, please pay attention here. We can have that discussion later. Please pay attention here. Very important. So these people have a product which they want to sell to sports enthusiasts. And we are discussing why they can target the sports enthusiasts for that. The reason being, they have a lot of indirect value. Apart from their receptiveness to your product and their receptiveness to buy your product, they also have a lot of indirect value, which is they will engage with that kind of a content to a great extent on social media. And with social media being one of the biggest modes of promoting your product, probably the biggest, not one of the biggest, it's probably the biggest modes, you should look for people who are interested into a particular kind of stuff. Because if they catch the interest of your product, they'll end up sharing it. And if they end up sharing it, it again spreads to the network. So their network gets leveraged again. They might be interested into something else that you build later on apart from this product, because they're interested into sports. And therefore, if you buy instead of shoes, if you build slippers, which are similar in characteristics, or if you build a bike or a sports bike or anything of that sort, since they're interested into it, the moment you publish it, they follow you, they'll immediately engage with it. Therefore, they add a lot of value to the entire interaction. Interest is done, lifestyle is fine. So if you want to, the first example that I took, if you want to build a sports arena where you want to give people a taste of terrain biking, So you must know who are the people who would, and what is their lifestyle. So what time of the day they go out, what time of the day they generally come in, what part of the week they are more engaged into, into these kinds of activities, or how many holidays do they take, these kinds of things. How fun-loving they are, or do they take their families with when they go for these adventure sports or not. Because these things are very important for you to determine what timing should you put for these arenas to operate, what should be the size of the Polaris vehicle or that sports kind of a vehicle that you will buy, so that it incorporates also their family members. So these kinds of stuffs. So coming back, these are the 4 things essentially that would segment your customers, and you should always ask these questions. Any product that you take, the first thing should come, the macro level is, what is the geography? A product might very well suit the entire world, but you should still ask questions. Second being, what's the demography? Which includes what's the age group, what's the gender, anything. What is the behavior of users who might buy your product? And ultimately the psychographics, what's the lifestyle and everything. With these concepts, you will be able to narrow down your users to a very small number, a considerably small number, which ultimately would bring down your KPI, the investments, the cost of acquisition of a customer. So ultimately, every game is played on that customer acquisition cost. The venture that has been able to crack that will grow and scale fast, and the venture which is still trying to crack that will grow slow. The reason being, all of us have a fixed resource base, considering we are all startups. Now, you have data. You've kind of segmented the data. You have like 50,000 or 10,000 customers' data. How do you ensure that what is the number from this lot that you have to target? So you have to do some kind of processing with data. Data is the key. We all know that. A lot of concepts go around with this. The first thing that we do is we standardize data. Don't worry on the jargons. I'll simplify that. So you can't actually go all around the world collecting data for your product. You might, for example, Aditya was asking you guys to do some kind of an assignment where you can target, you can see if you're able to sell the product. So probably you can target this customer base. But you always know with 10, 20, or 30 people giving you feedbacks, you can't base huge investments into a product. So you will have to go outward and look for more and more of customer data. But most of the customer data that you get would not be primary data. Primary is you haven't gone to take the survey. It will mostly be from other source, from either from internet or from any other company or from any consultant or anybody. It will be from a different source. And if it is from a different source, they do not know what are the factors, what are the parameters that you look in the data. Are you looking for the age? Even if they give the age, they might give you the date of birth. They might not give you the age as 25, 26, 27 years. They might give you 1990, 3rd March, 10th March, 1990 as the date of birth. So now it's your responsibility to find out what is the age. Because all your algorithms, all your concepts are based around the age. Just one factor. Although both of them would mean the same, but the data is not ready for you to use in your decision making. So therefore, with these kinds of concepts, with secondary data, there is a lot of problem happening with dirtiness of data, which means a lot of times you will not find data for one particular correspondent, one particular surveyor, the person who's given you a survey, of age or of location or anything. And then if you implement some kind of an algorithm, some kind of a science towards it, there your science would fail. So therefore, you must make all the data points really standard in such a way that each customer's, every field is there which you are required to get in your algorithm. No, I didn't change that. So with standardization and normalization, these words seem difficult, but it's very simple. You just clean the data. You make it useful for your concepts. There are a lot of tools which do that. So how many are the, yesterday we were doing some exercise. So how many are tech enthusiasts here, or tech guys, or who know tech a little bit? Not many, fine. You're in minority. How many are the business people here, who know business, who implement some kind of business analytics into their decisions, or they might want to do it? So a good number. How many, and what was the third one? Creatives, the creators. So creators, I'll not ask them because it will not make much sense here. Anyways, so you have a lot of tools available already in the market, or open source tools, or you can also code. For the technical people, you can simply write a code and clean your data. But for people who are not that tech savvy, who are into business and always determine their actions with data, you can use a lot of tools which are available freely or for some subscription. So these will help. Essentially, they have functions already written, so you can probably use some of the functions there and kind of clean your data and kind of factor it. Important things are analyze, filter, and cluster. So basically filter, cluster, filter, and analyze. This is the sequence. What I mean with cluster is, so you have like 10,000 data points which you have cleaned. With data points, what I mean is 10,000 customers, probable customers data, which I have cleaned, made it ready for me to take a decision on. I'll simply take my mobile phone out and start calling them. Can I call 10,000 people? Almost impossible. I need to find out who are the first 100 whom I want to call. How do I do that? So here we apply another concept of clustering. Clustering means, in this room, if I ask, how many people have come here from Vietnam? So can you raise your hands? A good number. So if coffee comes to this side and ma'am, you come to this side, no, that's hypothetical, sit there. If you guys come to this side in that corner, and if I ask, okay, that's fine. If I ask how many people have come here from Nepal? So if all of you come to this side, if I ask how many of you have come from India? If all of you go to the other corner, and similarly from US, China, any other part of the world. So we will form small clusters here. This cluster belongs to Bangladesh, this cluster belongs to, probably this cluster was Vietnam, or wherever. So there will be different clusters of different countries here. And with that, while I deliver my speech, I'll be able to target, if I have to kind of give an example only about some product that's running in Bangladesh, I'll look at these people and talk to them. Or if I have to talk of Swiggy, which is a product running extensively in India, I'll talk to only the Indians who are standing to the other side. Similarly, I can target people based on the clusters. Therefore, consider everybody in this room as data points, and I have to essentially cluster them. So when I cluster them, I've divided the entire class into 5-6 parts, and then I can make my decisions again. So clustering is a concept into data analytics by which you split the entire data set into smaller sets, so that you can take business decisions based on data intelligence here. I guess I'm done with the time. So the last thing is, of course, analyze. We've been doing the analysis from the first step, but then ultimately the steps go as get the data, clean it, cluster it, factor it, and then analyze it. So the moment you analyze it, if you're able to analyze it well, you'll get a data set which is very clean, which is sure and certain to reduce your investments in acquiring the customers because they are already receptive to your product, and ultimately you are ready to go. So that's how we can segment our customers. The first part was into into a broader decision making. The second part is into some more granular decision making. So ultimately, from 15 crore, 150 million, how much is 15 crore? 150 million users to probable customers to like 500,000 or 100,000, and from 100,000 to again 10,000. So you know that 10,000 is the band of customers that are most likely to buy your product. And therefore, you're going to pitch it only to them, thereby minimizing your investments. That's the whole story of how you'll segment your customers. And what are you waiting for? I'm waiting for queries, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any questions? So like there's a platform in Daily Hunt which in India it's available in 18 languages and it appeared on CNBC TV 18 Young Turks. But my question is that this started in English and Hindi and they were focusing on native language content which you mentioned towards the start of the session.
Correct.
So they're available in 18 languages like Assamese and a lot of other languages. Correct. But as of now, though they post a significant number, a good number of readers or views per day or logging into their app, their growth has stalled because of wider of languages, they're unable to translate every point of content into the other language.
That's absolutely correct. Okay, finish.
And moreover, my another part of my question is that a kind of content which is liked by people of one language might not be liked by another. That is dependent upon the psychology of the people of that demographic region.
Yes.
So if a startup wants to target a conventional sort of like you can say native people, how does a startup go about it so that in the future reference, in the future state, we do not stall like this?
Makes sense. So Daily Hunt still claims to have a lot of DAUs. But anyways, I'll answer that. See, this is a problem with their implementation, not with their customer targeting or segmentation. Because they've grown to like 100 million or 500 million, 100 million users because they targeted Indian natives, vernaculars. So they saw that requirement and they leveraged on that and they got results. But the growth rate has stopped, or probably the growth rate is declining because the content that they have been translating is not up to the mark for probably an English content or a Hindi content that runs in North India, in Delhi, won't be that significant for a Tamil person, and especially in his own language, because he would have a different perspective. So therefore, this is not a problem essentially with customer segmentation. This is a problem with implementation of the translation that they have done, if this is a problem. The second part of your question is, how do you target the locals? So if you have to target the locals, you have to obviously take the geographic filters very, significantly. That has to be one of the main factors how you're going to segment the entire customer base. And then also go with the native interests, their lifestyles, their psychology of usage. For example, if you go to places like Bhutan, people are, if you pitch them something, some drink which also shows them a plastic straw, they might not be very willing to buy it because they are very clean, they've never seen dirt, so they are more environment friendly. But if you pitch the same product to a person in like Myanmar or India, so although there has been a growing concern on plastics and a number of things, but we are still receptive to it. Therefore, these filters would play a major role. The receptiveness, the psychology, the interest, the nativeness of the translated content in their vernaculars, these will play a very significant role if you have to capitalize onto the local user base. Yeah.
Thank you. And next question. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. My question is, the company that you have, Crumblyy.
Yeah.
So, for example, you want to change the color of something, or make a change, or you want to add a new feature.
Correct.
Since we were talking about data and sampling, what is a good data for you to say, okay, I have enough for this to be implemented? And what is a good sample size for your decisions? Is there a set rule?
See, there's a thumb rule. The bigger the sample size, the better the result. There's another thumb rule. The minimum sample size should be 30, but we never follow the two of them. We're always in the middle. So, for example, okay, so since he mentioned Crumblyy, so I'll probably throw a little light on that and come over. We are a content-based platform. We've graduated from GEB 2018. Before that, we had a decent base, crowd base, customer base. But after the event, we matured a little more. We were able to do a good business model planning and everything. And we grew the number significantly. So now we are one of the largest short-form content platforms in the world.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So
Thank you.
that is also.
Thank you.
It is also. Yes, skip
Okay,
away.
thanks, Coffee. Answering his question. So we always track customers' usage. So there are stuffs called, that's something that I didn't mention because not a lot of people won't appreciate that in technicality, but there's something called alpha beta testing. A/B, yeah. So in A/B testing, what you do is you have a huge crowd base, customer base. You segment, you split it into a very small chunk, probably a number of small chunks. And for example, if I have to change the logo, presently it's orange, I can change it to green or blue or anything. But I'll not change it for the entire audience. I'll change it for a small segment, probably 10,000. Because we take a thumb rule as if 10,000 people are like okay with our design, we can probably keep increasing it a little more further and reach to like 500,000 users and see what their perspectives are. But we'll always target the 10,000 users with a specific color. So when we target one particular segment with green, we target the other segment with blue, the other segment with, we'll let it be as orange, and we'll track their usage. How are they using it? Or probably it might not be very relevant for the existing users because they're already loyal to us. It will be very relevant for the new acquirers. So like if a person comes in, he has a blue logo, I mean, he looks at the logo on Google Play Store, he finds a blue logo, is he clicking onto it? Is he downloading it? Now, for me, it's simply one concept, one decision parameter, is he downloading it? Behind the scenes, into his mind, there are a lot of things that happen. So people, there are color psychologies going around. So blue is for a specific, it indicates a specific niche. Orange is more into livelihood, it makes things more lively. Then green is into something else, violet is into something else. So all these color psychologies also play a big role. But for me, the KPI is whether they are clicking and installing it or not. If I'm able to get that KPI, that parameter, that value, I can slowly increase my segment to a bigger size from 10,000 to like 20,000, 30,000, and get the optimum and reach 50,000 or 100,000 users, get an optimum decision-making value, and go ahead. So if I find that blue is doing much better, I'll go with blue. If I find that my app description, a certain app description, a certain keyword is doing much better, I'll go with that. Because ultimately, I have to increase the total visibility of the app. So whatever does better, I'll go with it. Yes.